There is a kind of person who no longer argues, no longer explains, and no longer tries to change anything. When you ask them, "Are you okay?" they simply reply, very lightly, "Yeah, it's whatever." But that answer is not calmness. It's a quiet form of giving up. Not loud like despair, not intense like pain, just that everything inside them has slowly faded away. What's difficult to notice is, you can hardly tell they're struggling. They still live, still work, still show up like normal. But inside, they're no longer truly there. It's as if they're existing out of habit, rather than living with any clear purpose. No one is born wanting to give up. On the contrary, they were once the kind of people who were full of hope, quick to trust, and willing to try again and again. They used to believe that if they worked hard enough, life would eventually change. They took their goals seriously, tried to become better, and believed that things would somehow turn out okay. But the problem is, life doesn't always respond the way people expect. Some people try many times, yet nothing changes. Some efforts go unnoticed. Some attempts lead nowhere. And worse, there are times when they are dismissed, overlooked, or even abandoned. And after too many moments like that, a very small thought begins to appear. Maybe trying doesn't make a difference. At first, that thought is weak. They keep going, but without the same passion. They become more cautious, expect less. But as negative outcomes continue to repeat, that thought slowly grows stronger. Until one day, it's no longer just a thought, but a belief. That nothing they do can really change anything. This is the point where a person begins to shut down. There isn't a clear moment, no single dramatic event. Just a series of small disappointments, quietly piling up over time. And then one day, they simply stop trying. Not because they can't, but because they no longer see the meaning in it. In psychology, this is known as learned helplessness. When someone goes through too many attempts without being able to change the outcome, their mind starts to believe that everything is out of their control. And from that point on, they stop trying, even when real opportunities appear. What's sad is, from the outside, people often misunderstand them completely. They get labeled as lazy, unmotivated, or lacking willpower. But in reality, they're not lazy. They're just exhausted, emotionally drained from trying for too long. Because effort is not just about action, it also requires belief. The belief that what you do will lead to something. And when that belief disappears, action slowly disappears with it. There's a truth that not many people realize. Giving up is sometimes a form of self-protection. When someone becomes too familiar with hoping and then being disappointed, they begin to choose not to hope at all. When expectations always lead to pain, the simplest way to avoid pain is to stop expecting. They start telling themselves, if I don't hope, I won't be disappointed. If I don't try, I won't fail. It may sound negative, but from their perspective, it's the most logical way to survive. At least, they won't get hurt again. But at the same time, this is also what keeps them stuck. Because when a person stops expecting, they also stop acting. And when they stop acting, their life barely changes at all. The scariest thing is not someone who is in pain. Pain means they still feel, still care. What's scarier is when someone feels nothing anymore. No joy, no sadness, no expectations, no disappointment, just existing. And when someone stays in that state for too long, they slowly lose their connection to life itself. If you are in this state, the most important thing to understand is this. The problem is not that you are weak. Maybe you're just very tired. You've been trying for a long time without getting the results you deserved, and your mind is simply doing what it thinks is best, stopping to protect you. So instead of forcing yourself to try harder, maybe what you need is to start again, in a different way. Not with big goals, not with drastic changes, but with very small steps. So small that you don't feel pressure doing them. A small change, a small action. Something that reminds you that you still have the ability to influence your life, even just a little. Because sometimes, what matters is not how far you can go, but realizing that you can still move forward. And maybe that is where someone who once gave up begins to slowly return to life.